Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sailing Prima Barca Vela podcast. This is a podcast where Jennifer and I, Francesco, are trying to meet as many people as possible in the sailing community and learn as much as we can before we head out there permanently ourselves. Today's chat is with sailing vessel Faelan. That stands for wolf in Celtic, and that's Faelan. Please check them out on Instagram. That's SV Faelan, Faelan. They're currently in Florida. They sail on a 52-foot 2001 Sparkman Stevens design. This is built by Stellar Yachts. It is cutter rigged, which means they have two head sails, and then they have their mainsail. So I hope you enjoy the chat. Let's get right into it, and thanks again.
Hello.
Hello.
Hang on, I'm trying to unblur things.
No problem. Socks and boots.
Yes. And in fact, I'm going to change it so that it says socks and boots instead of Michele shock it.
I'll blur that out.
All good. All good. Background effects.
I'm glad you're dealing with this because I don't know how to deal
There
with
you
it.
are. The kitty too.
Yes, you have the kitty. You've got everything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like the background. You've got some palm trees blowing in the wind. Got a sea breeze going on.
It's honestly, I was talking to a guy down on the dock earlier and I was explaining I want to go sailing. He's like, you go sailing in this crap. I'm like, this is what I'm used to, man.
That's what you're supposed to do.
It's blowing, let's see, down at sea level, it's blowing at about 10 to 15. And
Perfect.
the upper elevations is blowing up in the 25s and 35s. So
Yeah.
that's like, I don't know. That's what I'm used to sailing in. It's like it's okay. So it's only blowing 20. Oh, okay. Throw everything up. We're good. It's blowing 30. Throw it all up. We're good.
I mean, do you even want to go if it's less than 10, really? I mean, you got to go between 10 and 20, 25. Okay. You reef.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier to reef, and honestly, I hate the sound of the engines. So
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So how's the kid doing? The kid's feeling better? Yeah.
Kid's doing better. Yeah, he's been sick for about 2 weeks. He was getting better. He was bad, got better, got worse, got better again. And yeah, he finally got off to school today. So we're positive things are taking a turn. Might be some kind of sinus infection thing going on or something like that. But too much puking, too much puking for my comfort. I'm like, dude, what's going on right now? So we'll see. I think he's doing better. He got some nausea medicine.
He doesn't have an ear infection?
Sorry?
He doesn't have an ear infection?
I don't think so. I think it's just a lot of drainage. I think it's just stuff going on with he's not really eating well. Not that he's got like a eating disorder or anything like that. He's just not like keeping food down. And I don't know, we're just trying to figure it out, but I think he's okay. I think he's turned a corner on it. I think he'll be better. Yeah, thanks for asking. Appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it. So for the record, for everyone who's listening and watching, whose socks and whose boots? I know socks is on my left.
That's socks. I'm boots.
Yeah, and where do you guys get those names?
It's I crewed on a boat in San Francisco Bay, and I didn't have the appropriate foot attire for the boat, and I just wore cowboy boots. That's what I had. I rode horses for a long time, so I had cowboy boots. And we had 3 Erics on the boat. The owner of the boat, his name was Eric. Then we had another guy, his name is Eric, and then me, Eric. So everyone we had to figure out how to call whoever. And they ended up calling, the owner of the boat went by Jones. The other Eric went by EJ, and someone just called me Boots because I was always wearing the boots. So it's honestly, it's stuck. I like it. I think it's a funny name because as people look, they're like, you have a sailboat, you go sailing, and you're in cowboy boots. It's like, yeah,
that's got to be only allowed on your boat. I can't imagine other sailors and captains enjoy seeing cowboy boots coming at them on a boat.
I mean, I've had a handful of captains kind of look at me a little sketched out when I do. I ask them, and they're like, "Are you going to scuff my deck?" It's like I have yet to scuff a deck with them.
Yeah,
it is the weirdest thing. I mean, they're leather soled up front and they're rubber in the back. But
yeah, as long as they don't have like, I guess, black soles on the bottom, they probably wouldn't scuff the boat up, would they?
No, I mean it's maybe it's just the way I walk. I don't know. And somehow I don't.
Walking on tiptoes.
I mean, I got rid of the metal on the toes and the spurs from the horses, so we're good. And then socks actually came up. We were driving down to that's when we were driving down to LA to look at that Hylas.
Yeah, we were down and going and looking for boats, and my name almost everywhere else has been Honey Badger for years. I did Burning Man for 25 years, and I got you never get given your you never pick your own Burning Man, you get given your Burning Man name. And I got given the name Honey Badger, but when I showed up to crew on the boat, I was like, Honey Badger has a connotation that
yeah,
care.
Which is kind of true because I mean, it's
no. I care just about the right things. It's arbitrary what I care about, but I do care about the right things. And given that he was Boots and we were together, it was like, you know what? Let's just go with Socks. That's kind of funny, and that'll make everyone laugh. So people would, ask on the boat, who's, what's your name? He'd say Boots, and then they'd look at me. They go, "What's your name?" And I'd say Socks, and they'd look at us. Are you guys together?
I love it. It's great that your name's Socks because my brother, who I hope listens to this, we used to make fun of him relentlessly growing up because we grew up in the 80s and he wore those socks where you'd pull them all up to your knees and they had like the 3 stripes on there, and everybody would be like, "Socks, what's up, Socks? How you doing, Socks? Here comes Socks again."
It's so the trick with those is if you're wearing boots, they're great. If you're wearing tennis shoes and shorts, don't. No,
that's an epic look.
Oh, it's like Miami. It is all over Miami. I mean,
of course, socks with sandals is what Jennifer, she's from Florida, and sometimes I wear socks with sandals, and she's like, "Those are our winter shoes down in Florida."
I will confess to where I was wearing wool socks yesterday with my Tevas. Walking up and down the dock.
And he did while I wasn't watching because he knows if I saw it, I would have judged him so hard.
That's awesome. So how long have you all been in Florida? I think you just moved there within like not too long ago.
Just over 2 years.
Yeah, a little
2
over
years.
October of 21.
So we met at Latitudes and Attitudes, Bob Bitchin's booth. I met you, Boots, with Jennifer, and that you must have moved like right after that because that was about that long ago.
No, actually, we moved just before that because we moved here in October of 21.
Gotcha.
And actually, how did that? We had the slip October of 21.
No,
I think
No, we had the slip a little bit before because we got put on the wait list. We were told there was that 6-month wait list.
And then a week later, hey, the slip.
Boom. So we actually had the slip starting like in September before we even moved here.
Yeah. And actually, when we moved here end of October of 21 and then went and picked the boat up Halloween.
Yeah, like a week later, like we drop our stuff off, we jump in our car, we go up to Hilton Head to go get the boat, and then we were here 9 days, and then we sailed the boat down to Fort Lauderdale where we hauled out and had some stuff fixed and felt thoroughly violated.
Yeah, it's the violations actually still there. I'm still in therapy. It's been cut down to once a month instead of every week since then, but it's been a couple of years, so we're recovering.
A little bit of PTSD there.
Dude.
We've decided that the Miami tax is pretty unbearable.
Oh, really?
Found out that everyone with sailboats here, they haul out in Stewart.
Oh, that's good tips for new people. We didn't know that. I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they're all hauling out in Stewart or Fort Pierce.
Wow, good tips. That's good to put into the notes. So tell me, you bought the boat in Hilton Head, and you sailed it down. So where are you now?
We're just south of Punta Gorda.
Okay.
Charlotte Harbor. We're just in Charlotte Harbor.
Okay.
We live in the Burnt Store. We live in Burnt Store.
Gotcha.
We've discovered the neat trick with safe harbor marinas, and I have no problems with this airing. We know why they're called safe harbors, because if you can get in on high tide, you're never going to get out afterwards because they don't drop the damn channel.
That's fun.
They're also everywhere.
Yeah, there's a safe harbor in Charleston where we sail out of. Yeah, that's good to know. What kind of tips do you have for like coming out of Hilton Head along like the coast? Like, did you just book it straight there? Did you stop along the way? Did you go intercoastal waterway at all? What kind of advice do you have for new people?
No, it's honestly, it's for newbies that are coming out and doing intercoastals, we have very, very minimal experience with the intercoastals because we're deep. We pull 7 feet of water
Oh, wow.
to float, and then our mast is 75 foot at the top.
Oh, so not intercoastal water friendly. Just for FYI, for people listening, intercoastal waterway bridges, I think they say 65 feet, right? Is like
Yeah.
And many of
under
them
that.
aren't drawbridges or anything like that.
Yeah.
And
So
then
oh, go ahead. Yep.
actually, if let's say someone was doing the intercoastals and they wanted to come across Okeechobee, the most of the bridges there, they are either drawbridge or they're 65, but I think it's this end on the West Coast, one of the bridges is only like, I think 54 or 53.
Ooh, that's good to
On a
know.
drawbridge.
And the other
Yeah.
good tip to know about the Okeechobee is you have to be escorted through the Okeechobee
Oh.
by a pilot ship.
Okay.
Or boat. We found this out when someone brought an 80-foot Marlow or Marley through here, and
Mhm.
they were super worried they wouldn't get in because the last ferry went through at 4:30 to help basically guide
Wow.
through the Okeechobee.
Interesting. For people who don't know that, explain what you're talking about with the Okeechobee. So you can go
Oh,
from one side of Florida to the other through it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It basically, don't quote me on this. I'm not looking at a chart right now, but I believe the Okeechobee starts in Fort Lauderdale and comes out at Fort Myers
Mm-hmm.
is where it
Yeah, it
where it
sounds
comes
right.
across at, and it's all intercoastal. It should be. I hear that it's about 7 to 8 feet deep for the most part. There's a
Hmm.
couple areas in the lake that it gets a little bit shallow, but in theory, from what I hear, if you stay in the channel, you're good, which is fairly well marked.
Oh, okay. And you get to see anaconda snakes the whole way through and crocodiles and alligators?
Probably you do get to see some water moccasins at least in there. I will say this much: I did almost run over an alligator. We had an alligator living here in the community,
Oh,
and
boy.
I picked up my son from the airport one night at 3 a.m. because the flight was delayed, and I'm driving, and all of a sudden I look at my son and I say, "That's a new speed bump." And he looks at me and he says, "You're tired. That speed bump is hissing and clicking at us and moving slowly."
Oh, gee.
And I was like, "Oh." So what did I do? Being the person from the West Coast that I am, I literally stop the car, roll down the window, and I start hissing and clicking back at it. And it turns
I
its
love
head like, "I'm gonna bite. You're tired."
The thing is, I mean, what we did when we came out of Hilton Head, we literally just came out and we turned to 180, and we just did 180 down to about, I think it was just south of St. Augustine
That
is
sounds
where
right,
we
right?
got close enough, because this one decided that I need to take meetings. So we had to be close enough to shore that she could actually get online and do her meetings and stuff, which is hilarious because there she is sitting in the cockpit taking her meeting, and someone says, "That's a really cool background. Where do you go?" She's like, "No, that's the Atlantic Ocean.
That's real.
Here, let me turn the computer around.
Oh,
That's
that's great.
Christine right there."
I didn't make friends that day.
So you were able to pick up signal. You're not using Skylink or anything. You're able to pick up cell phone within a certain distance offshore?
So we have Starlink now because of Hurricane Ian.
Ah.
Before Hurricane Ian, we didn't. When you're sailing, you can get signal depending on your provider. You can get
5 to 10. I think we're about 5 to 10
So
offshore.
I'm with AT&T. My signal stops at about 4.5 miles offshore.
Gotcha.
Verizon goes almost 10 miles.
Yeah, because
Somewhere between 5 and 10 miles, depending on the density and how
Oh.
many cell towers you have around you. So if you've got everybody and their brother on their phone,
Yeah.
you're going to be somewhat limited. But I would say, for when we go out, Starlink is really the best way to go because honestly, and they're getting more coverage. They're actually launching a bunch of satellites now on the East Coast because they've had most of their coverage on the West Coast.
Mhm.
And they actually changed their marine plan. Their marine plan used to be just astronomical.
ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. The equipment alone for the marine plan, I want to say was somewhere between 5 and 10,000.
Yep.
And now you can actually get the lower package, which is what I got. Not the $500 residential, but the $2,500 package.
Hmm.
And it's, instead of being something like several $1,000s a month, it's $250 a month, and you can suspend the service when you're not using it.
Oh, that's great. Good tips. Those are all good tips with the Verizon offshore, how distance you got at AT&T and T and Starlink. Yeah, Starlink seems to be what a lot of people are going to, and the coverage is great. We're even thinking about getting it here at the house. We're still land-based. We're up upper South Carolina on a lake, and we're kind of in the woods. And I mean, I was telling the other couple I was talking to, we had better coverage in the middle of the Andaman Sea in Thailand than we have here in the middle of the woods. Even we're like not even far from a metropolis. It's kind of frustrating for us. So we're thinking we might even go to Starlink just to because we're like kind of so far out in the woods that maybe we can get some signal. But we're also kind of down deep too. We're worried that we might not get enough, sky coverage to be able to see them as they go over. But if there's more and more satellites going, maybe we can get some better coverage there.
Yeah, it's I actually know one of the guys I work with. They live out in the boonies here in Florida, and I think they were using their cell phone and just hotspotting it for them to do work. And then he broke down and got the Starlink, and he's like, "Why did I do this years ago? Oh my
Yeah.
God, it was amazing."
Well,
They're right at that fine line to where they can't get fiber or the high speed
Yep.
through the lines,
That's
but
us.
I know that feeling well.
Yeah. So frustrating.
If I
Um,
would walk that way,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
literally, like on the other side of the cove, that neighborhood gets fiber. They've got high-speed internet for the same price I'm paying for 10 megabytes a second. It's just so frustrating. Let's get back to the your sailing though. What you mentioned you have a deep draft. I didn't actually catch what boat you have. Can you tell everybody what the boat is you're on? Tell us
we
about it.
have, it is a Spark 2001 Sparkman Stevens design Stellar built 52.
Okay.
Three-quarter keel skeg rudder. Actual draft is 6'8". I just say 7 because I like round numbers and I like to round up.
Yeah.
Because when looking at a chart trying to plan out some place to go, it's like I see a lot of 5s and 6s. We're not going there, but I see some 9s and 10s. I like that spot.
Yeah.
or our other favorite one is when you see one half.
No, it's not. I've never seen this. There is actually a place in the harbor here to where I'm looking at the chart, and all of a sudden I see a half, not 0.5, not 1.5. It just says half. I'm like, what's the point? Why would you put half on a chart? Um, we did go with the cutter rig design,
Okay.
just for the sail plan on it. I like the versatility of the multiple sails. Is when we bought the boat, it the major thing that was on my must-have list was either a cutter rig or a catch rig
Mhm.
with um since most of the sailing that we did was like San Francisco Bay Area. It's I mean it's I don't if nobody has had the chance to go sail on San Francisco Bay, they got to do it at least once, because it's if this gets this flagged, I'm sorry, but it's a shit show. It's you pull out of the marina, you go down the channel, and you just watch the anemometer just go, okay, you're 10 knots, 15, 20, 25, 30. Hey, it's 35 knots. Let's go ahead and it's pretty, so let's throw up the main. We'll throw out the that's only a 95, and we'll put the boat over. I mean, this is a 50,000-pound Hans Christian.
This wasn't our boat. This
Not
was the
our
boat
boat.
we crewed on.
Not guilty. I'm as I was told. And I mean, we're putting up full canvas,
Yeah.
and 35 to 45 knots worth of wind, putting the rails in the water on this boat is ridiculous. I mean, on like a little J22 or like a little one of these zoom boats, a Catalina 22 or 26, hell yeah, do it. Rails in the water, you're going.
Yeah.
50,000 pounds of boat that's 48 feet long.
Yikes.
That's a lot of boat to shove through the water.
Yeah.
But I
A lot
mean,
of power.
you get some sailing experience out there that there was one time we pulled out of the channel and got the main up, got the Yankee out, and we fall off to go to Angel Island, and all of a sudden we start hitting, if anybody's been whitewater rafting, 10 to 15 foot haystacks
Oh.
all the way across, just hitting on the port bow quarter. And I was telling people, if you sit here, you're going to get wet. If you sit here, you're going to get drenched. You're back here, you have a chance of staying dry. And this poor girl, I was actually talking to someone about this the other night. She was like maybe 17, 18 years old. She's going on a boat. She's on a boat. She's going to be excited. It's 80 degrees inland. She's happy. She's wearing the tank top. She's got on the cut off shorts. She's got her little sandals on because she's going to be on the boat. This poor girl got drenched for about an hour as we're making our way from Emeryville over to Angel Island, and she looked like a drowned rat, and she would not come off the deck. She was loving it, and I was like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Her lips are turning blue. She's shivering.
I got
This is great.
I applaud her. Good job.
We gave her a jacket and dried her off, and then she stayed in the cockpit the rest of the time after that.
There you go.
But
Hey, I love the experience that you all have. It sounds like you've been sailing for quite a while. Can you give us like newbies some tips on like what boats do you recommend or do you like? Like for if we were to want to get into like something for cruising, we want to go cruising, we want to go between islands. I know there's a lot of like blue water versus, coastal cruising, but like if it was like new couples just trying to get into the lifestyle, don't have a big bank account, do you have like recommendations for like the 30 to 50-foot range? What boats have you all really loved to be on?
it's
The 50-foot range is probably not advisable for someone who's newbies. Because newbies, unless they plan on bringing friends with them to crew, they're going to want to stick at the 40-foot or lower range. That way the two of them can control it, or when you're taking shifts, you can get one person single-handed sailing it. Boots can give recommendations of types of boats, but I can tell you that when I was starting out with these guys, it was more
you got spoiled. You
you
went from a Hobie Cat to a bloody Hans Christian.
Oh, Hans Christian, nice boat.
But that said, I mean, it's just one of those things where you also have to look at, one of the things when we were buying boats, because we're both incredibly picky. This one was looking for 3 years, and then we were looking for about 8 months together. You have to have a list of must-haves and nice-to-haves.
Yeah.
And a list of must-haves, would likes, and no way in hell is that ever going to be on my boat.
Yeah. And so
you got to tell us about that a little bit later.
So that was the thing that we had to do. But I would say for newbies, the 50-foot range is a pretty big one. Also, when you get into the 50-foot range, you're going to have a hard time getting into some marinas, because some marinas will not take you over a certain foot, and I want to say it's almost 40 feet.
It's it all depends on the marina. It's like I know Half Moon Bay over on the west coast, they don't want anything in there over 45 feet. They will take you, but you got to get in at the right time. Angel Island, they don't want anything over 45 feet. We never paid attention to it. We went in there anyway. Some of the marinas around here, the same thing. It's
that's part of how we ended up in this marina. This marina is the deepest draft marina in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, 7 feet.
Yeah, no one else. There's no other marina that can accommodate us.
Oh, wow.
But as far as like boats, Catalina it's I personally I really like the Catalinas. The Catalina 42 is a good solid boat. I mean, God, I was on a Catalina 42 and 45 knots of wind, and probably about 10-foot seas, and it didn't like it, but it did it. And I mean, it's we all hugged and embraced afterwards. That was a day. But no, I mean, it was a really good solid boat, a lot of room downstairs for cooking and living on. A friend of mine has a Pearson 36, which is a northeast boat, and that thing is about as solid as it comes. We actually took that and sailed it up to Drake's Bay out in the Pacific, and we're doing, I mean, they're not fast. We're probably about 25 to 30 knots worth of wind, 10 to 15 foot seas, and we averaged probably like 4.5 or 5.
So if someone can get their mitts on an island packet.
Oh yeah.
Island packets are virtually indestructible. They're absolutely amazing boats. They're solid. They've got a shallower draft than our boat. And they are a blue water boat. They're also ones that you can use for island hopping. And when you get them set up properly, you can single hand them. So they're so beautifully laid out.
If you break an island packet, you had to try.
Yeah.
They're overbuilt boats. Yeah, I mean, island packets are absolutely amazing, and that's kind of the big thing that if someone's going down to the islands to pay attention to, it's I will go ahead and point the finger where it belongs here. And I didn't really think about it or look about it when we got Faelan. was the draft. I didn't realize how shallow it was down in like the Keys and the Bahamas and stuff. I mean, it drawing almost 7 feet. We're probably about a mile offshore.
Wow. Yeah, you're
Situation.
limited, huh?
And that
Yeah.
actually caused us to have to sail. We couldn't sail. So when you come around from Fort Lauderdale to Southwest Florida, you sail through the Keys, you can sail through the Keys if you've got a shallow enough draft, but we don't. So we actually had to add on almost 24 hours onto our journey here.
Wow.
Because it wasn't fine. We're on the boat.
Yeah, it's so sucked.
But we did have to add, but it did take us an extra day because we had to sail all the way around the Keys in order to be able to just get to this side of the state, because it's super shallow draft down here.
Wow.
Going back to the thing you were talking about with good boats to look at, I hate saying this because I'm personally not a fan of them, but you can pick them up for a decent price. The Beneteaus and the Genoas are actually a decent price if you can get down at the right time to pick them up. A lot of companies buy them for charter. They keep them for 5 years and then they get rid of them. And if it's like one of the there's a handful of French companies that buy them, they charter them down in like the BVIs and the islands, and then after 5 years they just want to make them go away.
Right.
So you can pick up some friends of ours, they picked up probably a damn near $400,000 boat. It's a Beneteau 54, and I found out they picked that thing up for like, what was it, like just shy of 200.
Yeah. If you can also get your hands on a used Amel, they don't
good
come
luck
up,
getting one of those.
They don't come on the market often, but if you can get your hands on one of those, they've been making them for so long. They are such a good design. The thing that I point out about the Beneteaus and Genoas, and also Hunters, they're a mass-produced boat. They're they're sort of like the Hyundai of the boat world. They're great. They're wonderful. You don't see a 20-year-old Beneteau, Genoa, or Hunter out there often. Because they fall apart in ways that just make them untenable to maintain. So they're great boats for starting out. So if someone's just starting out and they don't know what they want, or if they're even interested in it, and they can pick up one of these boats for totally fine. They're a safe boat. They'll get you from point A to point B and everywhere else. But they're not going to be the boat like for us, our Sparkman Stevens with Faelan. We wanted something that we'd be on for 20-25 years.
Right.
And that boat, she'll last us another 20-25 years.
Yeah, I've heard, I've listened to a lot of podcasts. One of the things I drive a long distance every day. And so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on sailing, and, some people have talked about, you can cross the Atlantic in a bathtub, but, do you want that long term? I mean, it can do it, but is it not going to get beat up and worn out rather quickly doing that? So, it depends on, I guess, depends on your budget, depends on how much boat you can get for the money. And then also factor in, maintenance and repairs, so don't overspend, keep some of that there. But yeah, for people who want to try the lifestyle versus wanting to go for 20 years, I think it seems like a lot of people get into a boat in kind of that lower price bracket, try it out for a few years, then they either love it or they hate it. They love it, they upgrade to something that like yours, it's going to be like a lifetime boat kind of thing. So that's good to know. Let's get back to what Boots was saying, though. What were you saying? Absolutely don't want to have on a boat.
Okay, as you know, I almost printed it out just because it's one of those things. I work as a boat broker down here, selling yachts and stuff, and so I talk to people, and I've honestly been amazed at how many people don't have the list. And to me, this is I can't remember where I heard to make this list.
Our boat broker who sold us Faelan.
Was it?
It was Wayne.
Okay. I didn't know. I mean, I'm doing good to remember my name and
memory of elephant.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the must-haves on the boat, the wood likes, and then the no way in hell is that going to be on my boat. Examples. I wanted a lot of keel, so either full keel or modified fin, encapsulated. I did not want a bolt-on keel, so that goes into not on my boat. Skeg rudder, cutter or catch rig, stay sail was pretty much mandatory. Center cockpit. On the no way is this going to end up on my boat, in-mast furling. I know people that have in-mast furling, they love it. They swear by it. I will never ever use it because I've been the lucky bastard that went up into Bowman's chair in 25 knots of wind to unjam the bloody sail from the track.
We had one jam in Charleston. It was terrifying because it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't, we weren't in a terrifying situation, but when we saw that jam, when we were in nice conditions, I was like, oh my gosh, could you imagine being in a bad situation where you've got to reef down and that thing? So that makes me really nervous. I like the in boom furlers where you could drop it if you had to in an emergency, but the in mass furlers makes me nervous. I know there's people who swear by them and love them, and I get the idea of loving them. I mean, it's a great thing to be that easy to be able to put it up and down or in and out and everything, but wow, scary sometimes.
It is really simple. A friend of mine in San Francisco has a Beneteau Oceanus 40, and he loves that boat. He has that's actually a whole other conversation. He switched over to electric. He's got the electric motor in it, and he's running solar. And he's been plugged into the dock in the past 6 years.
Oh wow.
He's got it set up, and he has in mast furlings. He loves it. He absolutely loves it, and it's cool because we were sailing one day. The anemometer wasn't turned on, so I want to say wind went from 15 up to about 25 pretty quick. He just pointed up a little bit, furled a sail in to take a reef, and then took off. It's like, dude, that was awesome. Because I mean, even with slab reef, you still got to come up into the wind to get your reef. And with ours, we're supposed to be within about 5 to 10 degrees of the wind to take a reef and to sail.
Gotcha.
I definitely understand where the end mast has its appeal because you got your infinite reef points. You don't have to be too far off the wind to bring it in. And for one person to do it, as long as you keep some tension on the outhaul as you're furling it in, you're pretty good. But I know me. I'm going to pull into that. I'm going to go out in that time I shouldn't go out, go the direction I shouldn't go. It's like everybody says, oh, your boat's 50,000 pounds, an 85 pound anchor will work. I want the 105 pound anchor with the 3/8 chain. Why? Because I'm going to be someplace I don't belong when I shouldn't be there.
We're those,
very safe.
We're those adventure bugs who it's like, there's no one around. We don't care why there's no one around. Probably a good reason. But it's like, there's no one around. We don't have to deal with someone else anchor dragging into us. Yeah, let's go. What could possibly go wrong? Great idea. Let's start somewhere.
Can we go back to the things that you said that you wanted for those newbies that don't understand maybe the terminology and the reason why, and even myself, I've been sailing since 2017, 18, 16, 17, 18, but I still feel like I'm a newbie. I don't know a lot. And in particular, one thing with the deep haul, like you talked about having a lot of draft, a deep keel, and can you explain that and some of the other things, why you want to have the things that you want, maybe?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we wanted the deep keel is because it's almost like a fulcrum. When you're in the rougher seas, you're actually less likely to basically have all the motion that makes a lot of people seasick.
Oh, the hobby horse.
Yeah. So now what's fascinating about that part is I never got seasick in the Bay Area. In fact, I was the person who, when we crewed, I was the one who helped people through being seasick by, look out on the horizon, et cetera. I got
a ginger tree.
Yeah, I for the first time got seasick in the Atlantic because in the Pacific, the waves are basically they're much longer and smoother. In the Atlantic, they're much choppier and shorter and more aggressive. And so it took me about 24 hours to get used to it. But back to the keel, we wanted a deeper keel because we wanted something that basically would be more stable and less like, a rocking horse or a hobby horse, or however you want to put that. The other thing too was we wanted something that on our other, we didn't want a bolt-on keel because those things can break off entirely too easy. We've had friends, we've read things, we've seen things, but we even have friends here who've had bolt-on keels who are like, while it's convenient when you're going into a shallower draft, that's just another single point of failure for you to have.
Good tips.
And I'm not smart. I'll admit it. I ain't that smart. I'll run into things. And with not having a bolt-on keel, having an integral like ours, is you hit something, you get a chip into keel, big deal. As long as it's above the water, or as long as it's below where the bottom of the boat is, where the lead is, you're good. It's just a dent. Keep going. You can fix it with fiberglass when you haul out. The big thing I had with the keel is I wanted the stability, and generally, and this is probably old school thinking, the deeper the draft, the more stable your boat is. I wanted the weight down low because I'll be honest with you, I don't like leaning. I'm not a big fan of having that 25, 30 degree lean. As far as I'm concerned, 15 to 20 degrees is plenty. If you're leaning over 20 degrees, let out a little bit of sail or reef down or something. Is to quote Bob, decadence doesn't work for everybody, but it's a way of life for me.
Another nice to have for us was we were looking at a lot of boats, and I have a thing about, I call them the IKEA boats.
Oh God, you're gonna go there.
Oh, I am gonna go there.
You know this is gonna go public.
I do.
I love it. It's getting juicy.
And I'm gonna get, yeah, and I'm probably gonna get a ration from IKEA, but I don't work for them, so I don't care. I would get on boats and they would squeak. I could feel the veneer floors. Or I would open a cabinet and it felt so lightweight that I knew it was going to warp. And so my thing is, if I'm spending this kind of money on a boat that I'm going to basically trust my life and safety to, I'm not going to get on something where I can hear and feel the floor panel squeak, where everything just feels like, really, this is what you put together. And if I had $1 for every boat that I walked on, and literally, if I walked down it,
we'd have our solar system.
Yeah,
or not solar system.
We'd have the entire thing set up. I would literally I'd get on, I'd put one foot down, I'd be like, nope, and I'd literally get up and walk off. My other must-have was curved steps. He thought it was hilarious. He still is hilarious. But let me tell you, when you're out at sea, and I learned this one in San Francisco when we were crewing, because it was rough water sometimes. We went out, rain or shine, we didn't care. Having those curved steps to go down, there were times when I was incredibly grateful for those, because it meant that if the boat heeled either way, I was still not falling down, and I'm as graceful as an ox.
So that's interesting. Never thought of it. So if you had flat steps and you're on a heel, and they're wet, you just slip right off, right? You break your neck. Oh, that's a great.
And it's the other things to look at is one of the things I really wanted was we both like to cook. And to me, the galley was a big thing. And this is actually a good thing for newbies to look at and to think about if they're getting a boat. Picture that boat leaning over at 20 degrees. How are you gonna be able to actually cook something? I mean, it doesn't have to be like a big fancy meal, but can you throw can you throw a tortilla in a pan and make a quesadilla while that boat's leaned over at 20 degrees? How are you going to wedge yourself in the galley so you can cook? Because I mean, it's we're close to the Bahamas. I mean, we're halfway up the west coast of Florida, but for us to get to Key West, it's still 24 hours. If the wind's coming out of the west or coming straight out of the north, it's probably another 24 to 36 hours. Probably more like 36 hours for us to get to the actual islands. That's jumping in the middle of the Gulf Stream and taking the current with us with 25 knots on the beam. I mean, that should put us probably about 15 knots over ground.
Yeah.
And you figure 36 hours, at some point in time, you're going to want to eat.
Yeah.
And, even just making a sandwich, I mean, how are you going to wedge? I mean, I look at the Genoas. I mean, it's God, what's that one? DeFore. I love the DeFores. They're gorgeous. They're a little bit IKEA-ish for her, but I mean, I love the layout of the DeFores. But okay, you're leaning over at 20 degrees. You have this beautiful galley going across the forward bulkhead. How are you going to wedge your butt in there so you can actually make a sandwich? I mean, something as simple as a peanut butter and jelly.
We chartered a 46-foot DeFore when we were in Antigua, right at the height of COVID. I don't know how we got in and out of there, but there was nobody there, which was kind of fun. But the DeFore was a beautiful boat, but exactly what you're saying was a concern. But we didn't really do any like long passages or anything like that. But it's a good thought though. Like I think people like to hear, what do you eat? Like how do you prepare meals? What's your favorite like underway recipe? You're both cooks, huh?
Yeah, I tend to pre-cook stuff and then just put it like in Tupperwares in our fridge, and we've got a fridge that's we're spoiled rotten with that fridge. I like to, I do things like schnitzels or kielbasa because I need protein.
Yeah, and nice.
Actually, we all need protein. Or we'll do like pita with hummus or cucumbers. Basically, cucumbers are also really great for staying hydrated. Lemons are also really great. Just you can put lemons.
Chew on lemons like you do.
You can put lemon in your water, which actually adds.
I mean, you don't want to get scurvy. I mean, scurvy was the bane of all sailors' existence. You have to make sure you don't get scurvy.
Yeah, well, lemons are actually really good because they're also really good digestive.
Yeah.
But they're great in water and stuff. And they're also great for fish. We did the total lazy person fishing, lazy person sailboat fishing. We basically hung a bung off the back of our boat, and we ended up catching a 20-pound
Tuna.
which
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, and it was and this was
it was beautiful. It was huge.
It was great because when we pulled into Fort Lauderdale, we had a Japanese guy who was crewing with us, and he basically prepared it as sashimi.
Yes, I love it. That's
Now,
awesome.
the funny part about this story is I carry chopsticks everywhere I go because I've traveled all over the world for work. And I traveled to places where they don't have silverware and they don't have bathrooms to wash your hands.
Yep.
And so, but TSA never bothered me with my collapsible titanium chopsticks. So I pull out my chopsticks and the Japanese guy doesn't have chopsticks. And he goes, "Where did those come from?" I'm like, I go, "What do you mean you don't have chopsticks?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Smart Alec, I'm the one who cut the fish. You want some more?" So honestly, you know, I like to pre-cook a lot of stuff so that we can eat it cold. I don't have to prepare it that way. You know, I don't have to like turn on the propane and, you know, turn on the gas when we're underway or anything like that. And just, you know, basic things that are easy enough to stay hydrated, give you protein, give you nutrition. So lots of fruits and vegetables. And I'm not a big fan of bananas when we travel because they get so bruised and such.
There's
But
a myth about bananas on a boat, I thought. There's not, but bananas aren't allowed on a boat.
Oh,
no, they're allowed.
I actually just heard something about what was it? There was a bug. This could be complete falsification, but I was listening to another sailor talk about it. I guess that they were bringing bananas back from somewhere, and there was a bug that got into the bananas that actually got everybody on the boat sick.
Whoa.
And also because they bruise so quick and so easy that the bugs just multiplied that much more. And that's actually that's why they say bananas are bad luck. Bananas are totally allowed on our boat because I personally like bananas. And if you take it, you smush it down, add some strawberries, and then you're good.
Yeah.
So you said what I missed, you said you put something in the water to catch the tuna, a bung or something like that?
A bung.
It's a
cedar bung.
A cedar plug with a hook on it. The simplest thing is literally just a cedar plug with a decent sized hook on it. We let out probably
about 100 feet,
150 foot worth of line. And
wait,
then,
there was no like squid bait or any kind of like nothing,
no.
just a
no.
You gotta send me a picture of it. I've never heard that. That's a great tip.
And the best part is we have this thing for fishing.
It's just a big handrail.
It's just a big handrail, and we just mounted on the back of our boat on the stern, and we just let out the line, and we just sail, and whatever comes.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, what a great tip.
We might be eating bread. You never know.
Yeah, we could be doing cucumbers and hummus. So
now you said you're incredibly spoiled with the fridge. What other gadgets are like your favorite on the boat gadgets that you've got?
Coffee maker.
Of course. What kind of coffee maker?
French press.
There's an assortment of coffee makers because we will not go without the coffee.
Yep, us too.
I have a handheld grinder for grinding the coffee, and then the coffee maker that goes down there is a Wolf, WOLF.
Okay.
And I love that thing. It works. It seems to take a pretty good beating. I've had, God, how long have I had this one?
About 5 years.
5 years.
I know. Yeah. But we have, when we're not, I mean, because the galley space is so limited, I mean, yeah, the Wolf will be out, but while we're under sea, the Wolf will be put away.
Yeah.
So while we're at sea, he literally has a press that does 4 cups, 3 or 4 cups of coffee.
Yeah, French press is good. We use a mocha pot. It's one of those like Italian little espresso makers where you put the water in the bottom, you put the little thing in there if you ground the beans in there, and then it kind of percolates up and into the top pot, and then you pour it out. And that works really well for us. And I bought like one of those hand grinders, and I used that maybe for a few weekends, and my arm was going to fall off. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to spoil myself and get the electric battery powered grinder. And I was like, oh, that's so much better.
It's kind of funny. I've been looking at those coffee pots you were just talking about and kind of thinking about it. Who was it? It was Nini was talking about. She makes Turkish coffee.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a friend who makes Turkish coffee.
And it's really like a similar setup. And I love Turkish coffee. I also learned that do not drink Turkish coffee after about 3 in the afternoon because you will not sleep.
I am sure. Yeah, it's high octane. Yeah, we could probably go on for hours about coffee.
Oh,
Do you have any other favorite gadgets on the boat?
um, the windlass. Oh God, there's a handful on there that I probably totally take for granted because as we did
So
step up.
before we put in our electronics, we actually used a couple of iPads, basically with Navionics
RAM
and Windy
mounts.
and RAM
I was
mounts.
going to ask you about software. What was your favorite software packages too?
Yeah,
Navionics. I am a big fan of Navionics.
I like Savvy Navi as well. I'm a data nerd, so for me, triangulate with
Yeah.
as many different systems as possible, and all of these little software applications have different functions in them that the other one doesn't. So like when he was crewing on a boat that they were bringing back from Kima, Texas, I was actually able to predict certain things better than they were because I could see the undertow in the Gulf. And
Wow.
Navionics didn't show the undertow, but Savvy Navi did.
Savvy Navi. That's a good one. I've not heard that one. I got to look that one up. All right.
It's out of Europe.
Yeah, you'll get that a lot like in the Med and the European waters. It's starting to come over here as far as your charts, Navionics. I hate boosting Navionics. I don't like Garmin. But it's honestly the most accurate. The electronics we have on the boat are B&G. It's
you know what our other favorite thing is? Since you knocked Garmin?
Yeah, I knocked Garmin, but I'm also going to promote Garmin on this. It's the Garmin InReach is absolutely amazing.
It's a must-have.
If anybody was ever going offshore or even just island hopping where they're going to be more than, let's say, 20 miles from shore, the Garmin InReach is a must-have.
You can your friends can keep track of you. It was very important because the boat that they were bringing back from Kima, it was questionable whether or not they were going to have problems or not. They made it, by hook or by crook, but
we misread the weather, but we made it.
it had not been well loved. We'll put it that way. And so basically, I gave them my InReach, which I learned how to use when I was doing rescue and recovery in Nevada, because it's a great device, and it actually maps to GLONASS, which which are the Soviet satellites, but they're also it's a collaboration. And so when they did it, we could actually track them, and it updates every 10 minutes. The battery life on it is great. They have two. They have little ones that people use as avalanche beacons in their pockets, and then I also have the big handheld one. They took my big handheld one, and after that, I think we probably, Garmin should be giving us kickbacks, because I think like 2 or 3 more people have bought those InReaches after seeing what had happened, and they had no cell service out there, so we were actually able to text back and forth using the InReach and my phone or the website interface.
Yeah, I will warn you though, the texting on it sucks. Remember, you know how like you got to program the VCR by A, click, 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 C, click. That's how you got to text on it, which is kind
of like a hockey puck. It's like those old SkyTel hockey pucks.
Okay.
But I mean, we had that. The other thing we have on is, if we're going to be a little bit offshore, is we actually have a smaller version that Bluetooths to a cell phone that we throw in the ditch bag. So we have the big one that goes on like a RAM mount up in the cockpit area, and then in the ditch bag, it's water filter, the water bottles with filters on them, clothes, flares, all the goodies. But we also got that little. I mean, it's only like about like that big. So I mean, it's really small, the small one, but it's one of those where, hey, we're in a life raft 200 miles from shore.
It's like 2 inches by 2
flip
inches.
on the epirb, flip that thing on, send someone a text, come get us. We were stupid, we sank.
EPIRBs and legit EPIRBs that are connected to our AIS on our life rafts too.
Yeah, it's the person if it's just a couple sailing, having the personal EPIRBs that you can put on your vests. It is a must-have, because you can actually tie them into your electronics. Someone falls overboard, life vest goes off. Now they got a strobe back here, and they also have an alarm that's now talking to the electronics on your boat, going, "Hey, they were peeing off the back of the boat when they shouldn't have, and they fell in. So turn around. Here's where they are. Come and get them." And it actually gives a symbol. So
That's great for people to know and remember. Yeah, the EPIRB connection, very good tip.
And I have
The
got
the
a flashlight problem. So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've got a flashlight problem. In
So
that
do I. I buy way too many and headlamps.
oh,
I
we
have so
Dude,
many headlamps.
you have no idea.
I've got a
It's
flashlight problem.
I'm actually thinking about sending her to a 12-step program for this flat.
Seriously, I need to go too.
But it's great because we picked up these underwater dive lights
Ooh,
that are wonderful. And I looked up the specs on one. They didn't know at the boat show in Düsseldorf when we bought it what the specs were. I looked up the specs, 45,000 lumen.
ooh, I'm all tingly.
Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome. And it's got a handheld thing, and it's waterproof, and it's
Nice.
rechargeable, and it's metal.
Oh man, I could have used that. I don't know, about 3 months ago. Our my stepdaughter and her boyfriend capsized their boat, and they lost all their stuff. They had their friends on the boat, and they had put everything into like a fishing tackle box, but the tackle box couldn't close because they'd put their wallets, their phones, and everything in there. And so it was kind of like propped open. And the boat capsized because two giant waves came together. They slowed down, which they shouldn't have done. They buried the nose. The boat took on water, completely flipped upside down within seconds.
Oh,
They
damn.
lost everything in the water. And I was like, you know what? I'm a scuba diver. I was like, if you guys can tell me exactly where it went down, I'll see if I can find it. And so I just had like these cheap, underwater lights, and I had strapped them to each of my forearms, and I basically couldn't see beyond like the tips of my fingers. I mean, we live on a pretty clear lake, but still, like, I couldn't see very far. But I did find it though. I found everybody's stuff. I found all the wallets, all the phones, all the keys. They were forever grateful, except for the one kid. He was like, "Oh yeah, I had like $500 in my wallet." I was like, "Nah, sorry, I didn't find that." Just kidding.
So the best part is I may have a flashlight problem. He's got a Pelican box problem.
Yes.
The Pelican cases and it's the dry bags and Pelican cases on boats are just, it's the way to go. It's God, what we went, when did we go to, that was what, 2 weeks ago? We went to the beach. I have a drone that I keep in a Pelican case to where I've swam across from the boat to the beach with it in the Pelican case. It stayed dry.
Nice.
The last time we went to the beach, we had some issues anchoring on a friend's boat, but we ended up swimming to the beach anyway, and we just threw everything in a dry bag. I never actually took one and completely submerged it. This was the first time. It worked. I mean, our stuff a couple things got damp, but that's it. I mean, so like our phones were in there. I think there was shells because somebody needed shells.
I like collecting shells out here. They're different than what I'm used
I think
to.
we did the most, but like the towels, change of clothes, everything was in there. And I mean, yeah, it was dry enough to where if someone said, "Hey, let's go over here and grab a burger," it'd be like shake it out real quick, put it on, and go.
Good. Cool.
Lightweight clothes are a good thing too. I'm personally a big fan of specifically Kohl,
KUHL, cool.
KUHL.
Cool. We
Cool.
like them because they dry super fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the long pants, I'll get them wet up to the knees, and within about 20 minutes, half hour, they'll be dry.
Oh, nice. These are all
And
great tips. Cool.
and even if you're going like even in San Francisco Bay, there was a couple times, and anybody that knows that place, water on a warm day is 57 degrees, which in my opinion is too cold for my happy butt to be in it.
He said to the girl who grew up near Tahoe.
Yeah, but you can go in there, set of like Under Armour thermals or Smart Wools underneath those coals. You stay warm. Even when you get drenched, you stay warm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, and nothing beats a good solid pair of Fallies, but in a pinch, that works. And having Fallies on the boat, definitely a must.
And the other favorite gadget we have is those boat poles, the ones.
The hook and moors.
Yeah, the hook and moors poles.
Yep, I saw those. You were actually showing those off to me when I met you at the booth at Bob Bishan's.
Was he wearing the kilt?
Was it the day I was wearing the kilt?
Yes.
Bob did not want him to wear that kilt. Bob looked at me and said, "Don't let him." I'm like, dude, he's part of your family. When do you ever do what you're told? And he goes, a couple of first words and walks away. At the end of the day, he goes, "That worked out really well. People came, they talked, they had a great time, they bought, he sold." I was like, he hooked them in. Ha.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna go ahead and finish your thought. I was gonna shift
One of
gears.
the other things, and some of our dock neighbors turned us onto this, is the having like an extra cooler that you can plug in. That's a 12 volt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ended up getting one of the Engel coolers
We love
that
it.
is either a refrigerator or freezer. Oh my God.
It's a
Yeah.
game changer,
It-
and
it-
it fits under our table.
It's I forgot to plug that thing in when we came around from Fort Lauderdale through here. I forgot to plug it in for the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
Stuff was still frozen.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the name of it again?
Engel, Engel. They're out of Jupiter, Florida. And they are worth their weight in unobtainium. I mean, they're not horribly expensive for a marine
Avatar.
Yeah. Because you know, the minute you put anything marine in the name, it's going to be at least 5 times more.
Right.
They have not done that with this. They are a great company to deal with. I bought it.
Nice.
He picked it up from their warehouse. They're just amazing, and they make them in various sizes. We've got one of the larger ones, but they make them small enough, like a small Yeti cooler. So they make them like in the 18-inch size. Ours, I want to say, is like the 24 by 18 size.
Man, this is awesome. You guys have told me so many great things. I'm going to go back and listen to this and take notes because there's so many great products you guys have told me about. This is awesome. Thank you so much. I was going to shift gears a little bit. Some of your favorite anchorages, like if you were to have all the sailing and all the world exploring you've done, like I know you've explored all over the world, Socks, but if you could limit it to maybe like places that we would go on a boat, like what are some of your favorite anchorages, some of your favorite cruising destinations? What do you recommend people go check out?
I wish I can give you a big list, but unfortunately, I've spent more time working on the damn boat than sailing it.
We want to
It's
sail to the Med. We definitely want to sail to the Med. We definitely want to spend some time in Europe, specifically around the Netherlands. We've got a lot of friends there. We've met a lot of people there.
we talked about this. That's cold.
We go in the summer. It's not cold.
It's
in the
still bloody
summer.
cold.
We'll be going.
Yeah. We plan to go to the Med. Yeah, we got to get there.
Sugarloaf Key down in the Keys is really nice.
Yeah.
You mean where I got stung by the jellyfish?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, if you're on
Touching.
the boat in around Florida, we didn't know about this. Socks was nice enough to find this for us. If you have your feet dangling in the water and you see what looks like a blue trash bag floating towards you, take your feet out of the water.
I know what that is.
Yeah. I clean up trash everywhere I go. Like my 18-year-old son has yelled at me, "Mom, stop cleaning up." And I'm like, but it's there and it's trash. It shouldn't be. Yeah. So
well,
I'm
this
literally,
blue thing needed to be left there.
I left it. I was like, what, who would put this cobalt blue trash?
Oh no.
Huh. And I just kind of watched it. I didn't pick it up. I kind of watched it, and then all of a sudden, wait for it. Oh, my feet are on fire.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And I pull my feet out, and I just had these slash marks on my feet. And this one and our sailmate, who was helping us crew, they go, "Oh, we can pee on your feet." And I'm like, go away. Go away. I'm done listening to you two. So I go and I get a aid kit, and I use some rubbing alcohol and some lidocaine, and within an hour and a half, I was fine.
Yeah, when we were at the Miami Boat Show a couple years ago, we went walking on the beach, and we saw plenty of those on shore. Those are the man o' wars, right?
Yeah, the Florida man o' wars.
Yeah, and Jennifer is extremely allergic to those, and she's terrified of those things. She does not want to get anywhere. If she sees even like little jellyfish, she's like, "If there's jellyfish out there, I can't do it." So we always have to be very careful with the jellyfish. But
And they're dangerous.
especially that one. That one's the dangerous one. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're dangerous in the sand. Even when they're not in the water, they're still plenty dangerous. And a lot of people don't know that. They think, "Oh, it's out, it's dry, it's fine."
Yeah, no touchy.
Yeah, no touchy.
No touchy. Oh God, I love that movie. We actually just watched that movie the other night.
So the Florida Keys, you got some good anchorages there you recommend?
Sugarloaf Key is really good. Key West is not bad. It's crowded because everybody wants to get in there, and the holding is questionable if any big winds come in. Be careful. Not Tortugas. We haven't been there.
But that's one of our destinations.
Yeah, it is. Dry Tortugas definitely hit that up.
Yeah, we definitely want to go there.
Coming up like this direction, like I said, it's unfortunately we haven't sailed the boat as much as we want to because I'm anal retentive about fixing things, and it's like, no, this isn't perfect. I must make it perfect. And then she's over here, damn Virgos.
I just kind of watch them and I look around and I go, it's not sinking and I don't hear any smell. I don't hear anything. I don't smell anything. It's perfectly fine. As you were, dear.
I saw that you guys are doing a very big boat project. You're taking out the 170-gallon water tank. That looks like a
140
massive.
gallon water tank, which hopefully we can fix.
Yeah.
I talked to a welder yesterday to where it sounds like we might actually be able to fix it, and it's going to go down probably about 125, 130. But
And we found, and it was funny because he's like, I don't know how to find the pinholes. Well, guess what? My 45,000 lumen flashlight in the dark, he's shown it, and we found a couple little pinholes where the light leaked out.
remember those things you could pick up at the museum where it's go on, you could put it in your room at night and it puts all the constellations on the roof.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
Okay. So did you stick the flashlight down inside and it showed like the pinholes out? Oh, brilliant. Of course. Yeah.
My idea.
Yeah, good idea. I love it.
Usepa Island is actually a really cool place. If anyone's up towards Charlotte Harbor, Usepa Island is actually a really cool place to anchor. Cabbage Key, if you're a deeper draft boat, you're not going to do it. Usepa actually gives you some really good protection from westerly winds. If you're brave enough to do the intercoastals, which we'll probably never do again. Down by the Weston, it has some funky Grover's Bite. There's like this little anchorage, which is a little tricky to get into. Pay real close attention to your charts. It gets real shallow.
If you draft anything more than about 5.5, it's dicey.
Yeah, you can make it. We made it.
We made it.
We had to get towed off by sea tow, but we made it.
So it sounds like you had a bad intercoastal waterway experience. I love the intercoastal waterway. What happened?
So the thing is you get a lot of, this is a power boater state. There's sailors here, but it's like a 3-to-1 ratio of power boaters to sailors. Yeah. And we were in the channel. We were in 8 feet in the channel, so we were fine. And we were told, stay in the middle of the channel. I'm doing fine. I'm at the helm. I'm in the middle of the channel. 3 or 4 power boaters decide to go about 30 knots an hour past us.
Oh yeah.
And basically their wakes pushed our 50,000-pound butt out. So I went from being in 8 feet to
6
1
feet.
Oh boy.
and I was just like, and literally you can see them catching air going yee-haw.
That was actually one of the funny ones.
And it's like, ugh. So what happened was we ended up having to call Boat US. We have a membership from, and we have this Boat US membership that is, you want to get the gold membership on this one. We got towed off, but let me tell you, it was a heck of an experience because, we were getting pushed even further out. So because the water's so shallow and because there's so many aggressive people out there so desperate to get to their fishing hole, kudos to them. They're going to get all the fish. We're not in a hurry, otherwise we wouldn't own a sailboat. So that's really the ICW. It's just such a pain. And
it's a high-speed interstate. It's
Ian and all the hurricanes here have destroyed it. So what was in existence pre-Ian, it's not quite the same, and the charts haven't been quite updated yet.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, a few more last questions. What is your favorite sundowner drinks?
You go ahead and go first on this one, because I'm complicated.
For me, I like my Angry Orchards, but I do like my margaritas. And so, a nice sundowner drink is just like a basic margarita. And something not too sweet, make it tart. It'll do the trick. It'll relax me.
Get those lemons in there.
Yep, get those lemons in there.
So the reason I said I'm complicated, I actually don't drink. This is actually, I'm going to go off on a second on this one. That's why I let her go first. I'm actually celebrating 19 years sober end of this month.
Congratulations. Good job.
Yeah.
My big sundowner, are you ready for this? I'm hardcore. Ginger beer.
Yes. I love ginger beer.
Ginger beer, or it's we found that Guinness makes a non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not Guinness.
But does it taste like a chocolate milkshake?
It's actually pretty good.
It's not bad. I loved Guinness when I did drink, and this stuff, it's got the Guinnessy flavor, but it's not as thick.
I
Yeah.
like it. I had a Guinness this past weekend, and it was in Asheville, North Carolina, and I was super impressed at how authentic it was. I spent some time in Europe, and I was like, very good. Tastes like a chocolate milkshake to me.
I love Asheville.
And the
Yeah.
nice and the
Asheville.
nice thing about Guinness is there is a bowl of oatmeal in every bottle.
That's right.
You justify that all any way you want, dear.
So you
All
don't have
right, so we got to wrap it up, but so people can find you. First of all, I want to know where we can find you on Instagram, if you got websites, things like that. But also, I heard you're a boat broker, so definitely shout out. Let's hear about how people can get a hold of you in that regard.
website, Instagram, Facebook. It's svfaelan.com is just name of the boat. So SVFAELAN.
.com is our website, and then we're SB Faelan on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us with SB Faelan. We're much more active. We're much more active on Instagram. That we found that that's just a much better medium for us to use. We like it better because we can share. People really want to see images, and so we can share, little snippets, little stories, yeah, and
then I actually just switched YouTube over. We are going to try to go for the YouTube thing. Don't hold it against us. But that's Boots and Socks.
Boots and socks. Boots and socks. I love it.
I'm actually trying to get everything moved over to Boots and Socks because a lot of people don't speak Gaelic, so
Bob
Faelan.
Bob Bitchin and his wife both recommended to us going with Boots and Socks.
Yeah.
Like, your site is difficult to spell. People can't spell. I'm like, yeah, I know, neither can you.
Yeah, neither can I. Math, we got it. Spelling,
That's awesome. And how do we reach you for boat brokerage? Same place.
Can I give out a phone number or an email?
That's up to you.
If you know what, screw it, phone number. Southwest Florida. If someone's looking for a boat, I'm more than willing to travel for the right boat. Phone number is 510-364-2102. You can get me either phone, text, WhatsApp. I actually just did 2 boats to the Bahamas, and both those were done with WhatsApp. And Pier 1 Yacht Sales is the brokerage house I work with.
Awesome. Pier 1 Yacht Sales. All right, guys. I really so much appreciate this. This was so fun. I had such a good time talking with y'all, and I can't wait to make our way down to Florida and hang out with you. And if you're ever up in South Carolina, definitely look us up, reach out to us. You know how to get a hold of us.
Well, you guys need to come down and go sailing because that boat's actually going to the Tortugas. If I could get the damn water tank in, hopefully in February. She's going down the Tortugas, and she's got a beautiful queen size bed up in the V berth.
Oh, thank you so much. We are for my I don't want to say it because I don't want to tell people my age, but my 50th is coming up, and we are doing my 50th birthday in the BVI's, and it's in March, so we're pretty excited. We're gonna charter. We got 7 friends coming with us, and we're so stoked. We're gonna do 2 weeks down there, but we will definitely take you up on some sailing in Florida, especially to the Dry Tortugas. I've always wanted to go there. It looks like an amazing trip. So
yes,
yeah. Definitely.
Thank you guys so much. I'll be putting this out pretty soon. I'm doing like 1 a week now. So I'll let you know. And I'm also going to do the video and then audio only for those of us that are landlubbers that drive back and forth and fantasize. We really do listen to a lot of these podcasts and try to glean as much information as we can. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, but also just to meet wonderful folks like y'all and build that sailing community and that network up. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Guys, take care. Thank you.
All right, ciao. Bye-bye.
All right, so that's a wrap. We just got done talking with Sailing Vessel Faelan, Eric and Michele, really wonderful couple, as you could tell. Please reach out to us, them, if you'd like to get in contact, and check us both out on Instagram. We're also on YouTube. The video version of this will post very soon. This is the audio version, and we really appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit here. We are at SV_PrimaB on Instagram, which is Prima Barcavella. You can also find us at our website, www.sailingpb.com. We're also on Patreon if you'd like to support this and more podcasts. We really appreciate it. Please click and subscribe. That helps us enormously to get more followership and more support. And check out Sailing Vessel Faelan, Socks and Boots. It was great talking to y'all. Can't wait to see you all again soon. Thanks. Bye.